guys, it's Lizzie. Happy 4th of July! Today is the 4th, and look, I'm being patriotic, made in the USA.
Land of the free, home of the brave. But Lord knows that we need plenty change. There's plenty change in the past, leaving deep scars.
So on July 2nd, President Trump said this.
I remind you that we're going to start saying Merry Christmas again.
So this is just something where Christians consistently say that they're not allowed to say Merry Christmas and we have to say Happy Holidays. Instead of Christmas break in our public school system, it's called winter break. When we're at a grocery store, they say Happy Holidays. And my absolute favorite thing coming out of all of this was in 2015, the Starbucks scandal.
Is it Starbucks wanted to take Christ and Christmas off of their brand new cups? That's why they're just plain red.
Evangelical Christians are very upset that the coffee giant is doing away with symbols of the season.
In fact, do you realize that Starbucks isn't allowed to say Merry Christmas to customers? Well, I decided instead of simply boycotting, well, why don't we just start a movement? So when I went in and I asked for my coffee, they asked for my name, and I told them my name is Merry Christmas. So guess what? Starbucks, I tricked you into putting Merry Christmas on your cup. And I'm challenging all great Americans and Christians around this great nation, go into Starbucks and take your own coffee selfie.
Yes, they got rid of the Christian religious symbols like snowflakes and snowmen.
I remember walking into Starbucks that holiday season. Oh, see, listen to me, that holiday season. Christmas season, walking into Starbucks, and they literally had Christmas coffee.
Christmas music, Christmas-themed gift cards, Christmas cookies.
And the Christmas coffees were decorated with Christmas ornaments. Starbucks was still, like, supporting Christmas.
Like this, all right? There you go, all right? This is it.
This is called the war on Christmas. It's something that comes up in politics all the time, and I want to read a short little encyclopedia article about this. The defense of Christmas by culture warriors can be traced back to the early Cold War years. During the late 1950s, the John Birch Society sounded the alarm that communists and supporters of the United Nations were launching an assault on Christmas in order to destroy all religious beliefs and customs. The rationale was that centralized forces were scheming to undermine the moral foundations of the United States and weaken it as a superpower. Television and radio talk show host Bill O'Reilly devoted a chapter to the battle for Christmas in his book Culture Warrior in 2006, asserting that the secular progressive program backed by the ACLU seeks to marginalize Christmas as a national holiday as part of an overall strategy to de-emphasize religion in order to advance a secular agenda. So a Bible verse that relates to this that I absolutely love is Philippians 2:14 through 15. Do everything without complaining or arguing, so that you may become blameless and pure, children of God without fault, in a crooked and depraved generation in which you shine like stars in the universe. That's what this sentiment of the war on Christmas represents to me. It's complaining and grumbling and arguing. If we are going to represent Christ well and be the lights of the world and draw people to Christ, getting mad over tiny things, it's not doing that. All it is doing is giving Christianity a horrible rep, and it's making us look like really weak people. Like, we just can't handle things. But my biggest issue with all of this, that the war of Christmas is just the tip of the iceberg of, is that there is this narrative amongst American Christians that we are being persecuted and oppressed for our Christian faith in America. I find it extremely disrespectful to anyone who has ever died for the faith as a martyr. If you've studied church history at all, in the early church there is this consistent, horrific persecution. The apostles and church fathers and even people like Perpetua and Felicitas, what they had to go through, people died for the faith. They were eaten alive by wild animals. They were crucified, they were beheaded. But this isn't just something that happened in the early church. This is something that consistently happens in certain parts of the world. I go to services at an Orthodox church by my house, and the priest there emphasizes during the homilies that we need to be praying and thinking about our brothers and sisters in the Middle East. So anywhere from tens of thousands thousands to, the Vatican estimates, 100,000 Christians are killed because of persecution every single year. And anyone who is an American who is consistently feeding this narrative, I don't understand how anyone can be ignorant at this point that there's legit persecution going on. In the summer of 2015, there were these images floating around that went viral of Christians being shot on the beach by ISIS. And there are so many news stories that have happened within the past few years. In December 2013, in Baghdad, Iraq, 37 people were killed, dozens injured in several different attacks. In March 2015, 14 Christians were killed, 78 Christians wounded in Lahore, Pakistan. At the end of May, so just a month ago, 28 Christians were shot to death in a bus in Minya, Egypt. And then earlier in April, I remember crying about this. This is on my vlog channel. I was talking about my reaction to it. On Palm Sunday in Coptic churches, someone planted a bomb. 27 Christians were killed while they were worshiping, 78 people injured. And then in Alexandria, 18 people killed. And one of the saddest things to me about the war on Iraq is how beforehand there were 1.4 million Christians in Iraq and they were free to worship, and now so many of them have been killed and had to flee, and there's less than 200,000, and these are the original Christians. These churches go back all the way to the early church. As a lot of you know, I've spent 3 summers doing missions work in Thailand, and over there they're not scared for their life, but when they do become a Christian, it's less than 1% of the population, and some people will get kicked out of their homes by their parents for becoming a Christian or not able to find a job. Like, they are actually oppressed and treated with this inequality in Thailand. And in America, that's really just not the case. And I made a whole video when I was in college on being persecuted for being a Christian, and I talked in depth about if you're bullied at school, if people make fun of your faith. I understand that those are things that can be hurtful, and so go watch the video if you're dealing with that. But I think that our response to that type of behavior should not be to throw a fit and to complain and to get all this attention for ourselves. It shouldn't be surprising to any of us. Matthew 10:28. This is Jesus talking. You will be hated by everyone because of me, but the one who stands firm to the end will be saved. And so, of course, this is a lot more relevant to the early church when everyone ended up being killed. By everyone, I mean the apostles. John was on Patmos, so he didn't get killed, but everyone else was killed in horrific ways. John 16:33, I have said these things to you, that in me you may have peace. In the world you will have tribulation, but take heart, I have overcome the world. And this is how I think about my faith. This world is not our home. Our country, what's going on in the world, it's not ideal. I want heaven. I want to be in heaven, and I pray for that a lot. And my favorite part of the Nicene Creed, the very last part, I look for the resurrection of the dead and the life of the world to come. And so that should be our outlook. In Colossians 3, set your heart on things above, not on things of the world. Because I have this heaven perspective of my life, tiny annoyances or inconveniences, not being able to have my Christian holiday displayed on the school calendar, if outsiders don't understand Christianity or speak negatively about it, it doesn't bother me at all. Where I went to high school in Florida is the least Christian part of the country. I've been to a lot of different churches near where I live, and a lot of the church leaders have said that, how there's barely any Christians in the area. And I experienced that in high school, in that almost everyone was atheist or agnostic. Even if they were Christian, they didn't believe in it. And in my classes, my teachers would curse in class, which at first was shocking to my sheltered self. I remember in our history classes in particular, our teachers would speak really negatively about the Bible and about Christianity. And I would raise my hand and refute the professor, explain the Bible in context, defend Christianity, but of course in a really gentle, respectful way. I remember in my philosophy class in high school, everyone was a moral relativist. I think there was just one other theist in the whole class, and so I saw it as, you know, kind of my duty to constantly defend absolute truth, defend Christianity. But I never once had this victimizing mentality just because Jesus calls us to something much higher than that. If the majority of the surrounding culture is not Christian, that's great. We have this opportunity to show what Christianity is to all of these people. Something else conservatives will bring up a lot is the Engels Supreme Court case, which got rid of school prayer, and they see that as this attack on Christianity. And I am really glad we do not have forced prayer in school, because what if, I'm a Protestant, what if we were forced to all say the Hail Mary prayer? Or if you were Catholic, what if you were forced to say some Lutheran liturgy or some evangelical God has a plan for my life-esque thing that you don't believe in? Like, you know, there's 30,000 different types of Christianity in our country. Why does anyone want one type forced on all of our children? Because we have so much diversity within Christianity, that's exactly why I don't want state religion. And I think what we get confused with a lot is we think that our government used to be so religious, but our founding fathers, so many of them were deists. Have you guys heard of the Jefferson Bible? Just Google it. He literally went through the Bible and cut out any of the miracles. So another story I want to share. When I was in church youth group in high school, we were at this summer work camp at another church, and someone was saying that in their county, the school board passed a law that Christians are not allowed to bring their Bibles to school. And so that got everyone so upset. This was in Miami, I'm not gonna say the church, but their youth group decided that that week all of the Christians were gonna bring their Bibles to school to go against the school district, because freedom of religion. What I was thinking as I'm hearing this is that you weren't already bringing your Bibles to school? This is only an issue for you now that you're not allowed to? I brought my Bible to high school. Every single day I would read it before and after class. In those free minutes, I had my Bible on my phone as well. And like I said, I'm in the most secular county in the country. All my teachers are atheists, and because I did it in a way that was subtle and I wasn't disrupting class, no one cared. Sometimes the people around me would ask me what I was reading, I would explain to them some about Christianity, but it was never a problem. And so I feel like if I could get through like the most atheist high school, being able to read my Bible and be a Christian, you know what I mean? I feel like I had an extreme situation, but I never felt personally attacked, because that's not how we're supposed to react to situations like this. If the Christians had reacted like this to the Roman Empire, Christianity would be dead. It wouldn't exist. Right now, American culture, liberals in American culture, and I can speak of that because I am politically liberal on a lot of issues. The liberal millennial demographic, they see Christianity as being homophobic, sexist, racist, and bringing a lot of problems to society. Anti-intellectual, going against the environment, going against science, going against evolution. If you study church history, you know, it was the Catholic Church that continued scholasticism after the fall of the Roman Empire. It was the Catholic Church that invented hospitals and education and universities. We wouldn't have modern science and medicine without Christianity. Worldwide, Christianity does so much for poverty relief and for education. It has so many hospitals. Christianity has always been opposed to slavery. It was Christians who led movements to end the slave trade, to free slavery, to bring about civil rights in the Western world. So Christianity should have a really good reputation. If people look into it, they will see that it is beautiful. But if we're presenting this front of complaining about the tiniest things, people are not going to be attracted to it. As a Christian, I am way less concerned with how people are talking about Christmas, and I am way less concerned with the way we're defining marriage, and I am way less concerned with people who are cursing or drinking a lot or having casual sex than I am with my personal character development. I want to become vividly aware of my own flaws so I can work on changing myself so that in a future marriage and with my future children, I can be someone uplifting and loving and not emotionally scarring anyone in those relationships. There is so much brokenness in the world, and as Christians we should not be adding to that. Paul describes it as the ministry of reconciliation. We're to bring healing to the world, and I care a whole lot more about the 18 million children who are dying because of hunger and poverty related causes every single year, and about the 30 million people who are in global slavery. A lot of those sex slavery happening in our country. As a Christian, my own character development and people suffering around the world, that bothers me. That's where all my passion and anger and energy is going towards. I don't have any of it left to be concerned with tiny, minute things going on. Yes, we live in a secular society. I do not agree with all of it, but I think the best way to fight against that is to just be a shining example of God's light. Make Christianity look attractive. Let's focus on ourselves, on our own communities. We will only be able to change the culture when people devote their lives to Christ and allow God to change them. It's gonna be through individual people becoming Christians. That's how we will make lasting change. I love you guys so much, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!